You're listening to the Commercial Finance Podcast by Lee Chandler, where we discuss industry insights, tips about lending, capital finance, business acquisitions.
The worst investment you can have is cash.
Real estate acquisitions.
Your financial advice depends on who you are.
And everything in between. This is the Commercial Finance Podcast.
Hey, what's up, guys? Leland Baptist here, and I wanted to give you guys an awesome opportunity. So if you are a business owner, if you're an investor, and guess what you're going to need? You're going to need a bank account to house all that money, right? Passive income and active income. So if you're looking for a bank account, one of my suggestions is for you to look at North One Bank. North One Bank is a virtual online bank account. I know you're thinking, I thought about it too, like, man, how am I going to initiate wires? Well, you do it literally from your home. No more going to the bank and having to sign off as you transfer money from one area to the other, or you wire things from one company to the other, right? All you have to do is go to lelandbaptist.com/north1. That's lelandbaptist.com/north, NORTH 1 ONE. Set up your free account, and because you use that special link, you are going to get $75 when you open your account. They're literally going to pay you for that. Now, what's great about North One is that you can utilize it anywhere. It's virtual banking, and there's no issues, no additional fees necessary. So if you're a business owner or you're looking to open up another account for your business or for your investment accounts, try it out. Go to lelandbaptist.com/north1. You'll be happy that you're there. Hey, welcome back, everyone. I'm excited. Hank, are you excited?
Man, I'm so excited. I can't stand it. I'm about to wet my pants.
Woo! Well, in that case, hold your britches, hold them tight.
Yeah, like, hey, I think, and I say that, Leland, because sometimes in life, the things just start to happen. I use the analogy about popcorn. You know, you put it in the microwave, you put it in a pot, whatever, and you sit there, and for the first minute or so, nothing happens.
Nothing happens.
Nothing happens. And then all of a sudden, you might smell it, but you don't hear it popping. And then all of a sudden, it starts to pop.
That's so true.
So we have been working hard for the last year.
Yeah.
And we're gonna be touching on that topic, and maybe I'll wait for COVID. But it's the idea that it impacted how we do what we do.
Yep.
When we do, where we do, and who we do to.
Yeah, and who we do it with.
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. But I'm giddy because we're still standing.
Yeah, praise God.
Okay. We have been flexible. We have been forward leaning. We've been determined. And we've been focused. Now, that's not the be all, the end all, but it's the idea that I think that there has to be a basic foundation, a basic understanding of the goal.
That's right.
And our goal is to help people.
At the end of the day,
mm-hmm.
We are here because there are so many people. And by so many, I mean hundreds of millions of people in the United States alone have been convinced, without a shadow of a doubt, that there is only one way to exit a burning building.
Oh, man.
And that one way that many have been taught is the stock market. And again, we're not saying the stock market is evil. We're not saying that the stock market is all these other things. What we are saying, though, is the stock market is not the only way to generate wealth. As a matter of fact, our banks, our cities, our counties, and even many companies that some people work for all invest in something totally different than the stock market.
Here's a caveat to that, because I agree with you. But a lot of people don't think they can afford to invest, and that is the critical piece.
Yeah.
They don't think they can afford to invest, and I'm just saying, can't afford not to. You know, Yoda says, "Do or do not. There's no try." Okay.
Yeah.
But if you haven't made a decision, if you haven't made a plan, what good is it? You know, you're just blowing in the wind. It's wet. My dad would say something else in the wind. I say blow.
Now, hold your business tight.
I told you my daddy was a smart man.
Hank, earlier today, I saw something, read something that was pretty important. And at least it stood out to me. And it says, saving money will get you from lower class to middle class. Investing money get you from middle class to upper class.
I can't say that. Maybe in theory, that might be. But as I've said time and time again, you put your money in the bank and you're paying them to keep your money. It's difficult to get ahead. You might continue to increase the size of the pot, but it'll depend on what you call yourself saving. Because I'm doing something later on today about alternative investment, and I think this is a good point. And we talked about it a couple sessions ago. The average person, the average income is about per individual is about $32,000 a year before taxes. And if you are paying taxes and you're doing all this other stuff, you're lucky if you can save $100 a month. If you put that $100 a month in a bank, at the end of the year you'll have $1,200 some dollars and some change. But if you found an investment opportunity where you can invest $100 per month, you could get a return anywhere from 8 to 12%, maybe higher. And that money is compounded. And the money in the bank is simple interest. And that'll mean something to some people along the line. And again, I just go back. In theory, it makes sense, but in practical application, I can't see it happening, Leland, because we see people every day who come to the table and do not have $5,000 to invest in an opportunity or $1,000 to invest in an opportunity. And these people have, they're older than 20.
Right.
Okay. So I don't take it as a grain of salt. I try to sort of kind of like say, okay, but I may not comment on it, but in that we're talking and people are listening, again, I'm not a skeptic, please. I'm not a skeptic. But I want people to listen. Just consider. If you think, no, back up. Leland, for those who are listening and those who will listen, my question to you is, what do you think of the concept, the strategy that Leland just mentioned? And I'd like your feedback. And let me know why my philosophy is wrong. And then I will retract, do some research, and we'll do a presentation on how I put my foot in my mouth and it stayed stuck.
I don't think we'll have any issues with it. And you know what? To be honest, I'd be happy to. You know what? I believe that at a later date, you and Marcus are looking to do like some kind of comparison, right, between
Yes, Lord.
traditional and alternatives, right?
Yes, sir.
And let me say this: the word traditional is so far fetched because what is an older asset, gold or the stock market?
You said what is an
Which
older?
asset is older? Yeah, which asset is oldest by age? Gold.
Gold.
Okay, or the stock market. All right.
Yeah, gold.
So, which asset is oldest? A business or the stock market?
A business.
Which asset class is older? The real estate or the stock market?
Real estate.
So part of the issue is from a marketing perspective,
Mm-hmm.
many financial institutions have coined the phrase for the stock market as to be a quote unquote traditional investment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
With common sense and basic research and basic understanding of history, a person would know that that is not a traditional investment.
It's and again, and that's why we have to pay attention to what it is that people are saying. It's traditional for the stock market.
Right.
Oh, I'm just saying. Okay, you go to a financial planner, he or she will mention things that are exchanged on the New York Stock Exchange, Nasdaq, Standard and Poor's, and the derivatives thereof, bonds, and that type of stuff. Okay.
That's right.
So what we want to do, what we want to ultimately get to, the point we want to get to, where people will respect what we bring to the table, trust us enough to do some research, and then ultimately join us and say, hey, listen, I want to ride this train. I want to be able to now teach, not in the sense of teaching, but I want to be able to teach people that they can be better, not by stovepiping. I've used that term before.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have to diversify. You went to college, you got a college. You went to high school, you got a high school diploma. You didn't just you did the only course was not English. Okay, in college, the only course was not philosophy. I'm saying that we have to learn to cook with more than a skillet. We have to learn to do more than just fry an egg if we want to eat.
Sure.
It doesn't mean that we have to be an expert chef, okay? But you have to learn to know and to be able to do enough to feed yourself or to take care of yourself.
Mm.
And if you haven't learned it at home and you didn't learn it in high school, you didn't learn it in college, you're not learning it at work, where are you going to learn it?
I don't know. In life.
But see, life is unfair. And life is unfair only because we go back to the educational systems, and I had a problem with yesteryear growing up in the South in Virginia, getting hand-me-down books from the other kids. The books that I was getting was probably 3-4 years old. But where were standardized tests at that time? They were current. They were teaching concepts. So I was getting an education. But as Huxley said, I was getting a compulsory miseducation. So we have to stop trying to equate everything as an equal or as a norm. A job is not necessarily a job is a job. What kind of job? What kind of degree do you have? What kind of education? What kind of experience? Where are you? All of those things, Leland, I think, weigh into the discussion, because right here it says February home sales fall amid higher mortgage rates prices. Now, I saw that, and all of a sudden I'm going like, oh man, that's bad. Well, yesterday I had a guy wants me to refinance. Now hang on, this is crazy. Trying to get me to refinance. Now the rate's at 4 point something. He wants to get me to refinance as if he's going to give me cheaper money than 4 point something. Now my rate is already cheaper than 4 point something, and here's the deal: it's locked for the length of the mortgage. True or false?
True.
Okay.
Fixed.
So right now in the house that I am I concerned about a mortgage rate?
No.
Absolutely not.
But he's concerned about his commission.
Yes. Well, what happens is, because I'm a vet and I bought my home through the VA. They come in and they say, well, you don't need a credit check, you don't need this, you don't need that, you don't need an appraisal, you don't need all this other stuff. And I laughed and I said, who the hell do you think I am? Where were you when I was going through all of this? Because Leland, as you know, all of that stuff has been taken care of, and my situation is pristine. So they want what I got, but I don't want what they got. You feel me?
Yeah, but education plays a big part of that.
Yeah, but I tell you, the lack of education is a monster. Lack of knowledge is a monster.
It's a killer.
Absolutely. And if we're relying on our friends, our relatives, our brother-in-laws, if we're relying on those individuals to be the font of knowledge, we're already in trouble. So the rates are going to change. The Feds, as we talked yesterday, the Feds are trying to ensure that the economy churns along as best it possibly can. And one of the ways to do that is to increase the interest rates. And you increase the interest rates, it's going to do mortgage, credit cards, student loans, there's a ripple effect on all of that stuff. But who does it, Leland, but here's the deal. Who is personally directly impacted by higher mortgage rates or interest rates?
Okay, well, it's a trick question. Technically, the consumer.
But the consumer who's using the products, they're affected by the higher rates.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
That's correct.
So.
And one of the things real quick is if we're having, again, I want people to understand something. All rates, RATES, all rates have to take place in the past.
That's right.
Unemployment rate, mortgage rates, blah, blah. Sale rates, right? The sales numbers, because all these things are something that has to take place in the past. So, for example, we would be quarter 3 of the year, and they would be talking about unemployment rates that took place in quarter 2. So a lot of times when we're reading or we're looking or analyzing something, it's already taken place in the past. For example, I don't know if people know this or not, the stock market, the stock tickers that we see on the market, that's not what's happening right now in the market. Right. What actually happens is every stock or every company reports to the SEC, the Securities Exchange Commission. They submit their financials, their financial books, the reports to the SEC 3 months later.
Okay.
Therefore, it's 90 days late. It's a quarter late. So even what we see on the market on the tickers, that's not truly what's happening in the bank accounts of those companies. I'm saying all this to say this. What's in front of us, right? What we're discussing at this very moment is the impact on home sales. Now, home sales were down in February. And if we also know that in March and in April and in May and in June and July, there will be rate increases on mortgage rates, which will then make people qualify for less of a mortgage. Then that would only mean that we can assume that prices will either be the same as in February or that they will decline.
And I agree. The wrinkle I want to put in this is some time ago, we were talking about the federal government extending the moratorium on foreclosures. And I forget the number of homes that fall into that category. So that moratorium will be lifted. So people who couldn't make a mortgage payment anyway will now be forced to sever their relationship with the mortgagor. But Leland, there's a constant conveyor belt of homes coming in and on the market, And I think in absolutes, there's a shortage of single-family homes in the United States. In absolutes, there's a shortage of multifamily homes in the United States. And one of the reasons for that is people cannot afford to buy. And we've talked about the different strategies, whether it's traditional, whether it's FHA, whether it's VA, or what have you. The amount of money people bring to the table for these mortgages will vary. $300,000 house under normal circumstances, you might be looking at 4-point-something% interest, but a down payment of maybe 20%, could be 25%. And if it's VHA, I think you mentioned that it might be 3.5%. $300,000 house, right? But on a VA home, the down payment is zero. So it's not one size fit all, but I just think that we need to be able to make certain that we understand the game that we're playing. Whether it's traditional, whether it's whether it's FHA, whether it's VA, we just need to understand and make the best decision for your family as far as living accommodations. And then if you can't afford a mortgage at that rate, then fine. Make a decision because you have done your research. Don't make a decision because you're afraid that I need to get in the market right now, because houses are overpriced by anywhere from $10,000 to $25,000, $30,000. Overpriced. So why would you buy an overpriced house and pay additional mortgage interest on it?
That's right.
If you're half smart, you just wait. Now that's not insulting. I'm not here to insult anybody. I'm just saying we're affected by it, and there's a ripple effect with the interest rates on everything that we do. Okay. But Leland, now looking at the outlook for 2022, and it's not that bad.
Right.
I'm just saying it's really not that bad. Because there have been some, and we're going to get into it. Maybe we can leave this one and get into the one where COVID is everybody is, that COVID word, where COVID is impacting a lot of what it is that's happening.
Yeah.
Because as I said, there's a cause and an effect. And even without COVID, without COVID. The market, the real estate market has ebbs and flows. Mortgage rate had ebbs and flows. But sometimes what we want to do is to pin a tail on a donkey. We want to blame it on something. We want to hype something, okay? But at the end of the day, do you think hedge funds, Leland, are backing away from home purchases?
No, they're more aggressive right now than ever before.
Yeah, absolutely. But they've got money; they don't have to worry about mortgage rates. I'm sorry, it's not funny, but I'm just saying it is what it is. You know, it is what it is.
Speaking of Hank, speaking of COVID and
Yes,
being able to afford, that leads us to the next part, which is speaking about the workforce and the workplace.
which is crazy. Which is crazy. I may have mentioned some time ago that I was doing some research on the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. These are the big guys. These are the big heads of big businesses in the U.S. And these guys, these ethical guys, have lobbyists in Washington D.C. off of K Street or in the D.C. area, and the lobbyists are going across the street to Congress and lobbying Congress not to increase minimum wage. I mean, did you hear what I just said? They are lobbying Congress to keep wages low, minimum wage at $7.35 an hour. Let me help you. If you're making $7.35 an hour, you cannot, you will not afford a house. Average price of a house now is 300 and some $1,000. You can't afford a $150,000 house. You can't afford a $100,000 house unless you've got other means of income. You won't be able to do it with a job. So that is what it is. But Leland, people were leaving jobs before COVID. Leland, people couldn't find jobs before COVID. Leland, people were afraid to death of losing their job before COVID. But workers are empowered now with COVID. Because if COVID is so bad, the national unemployment rate is going down, even though 38 million people left the workforce since COVID. But Leland, you know why they left the job?
Why is that?
Because they found better jobs. They found that, hey, there were certain employers that were willing to pay more money because, and there's another reason, 38,000 left. Do you have any idea as to how many boomers are going to leave the job market within the next 10 years?
Whew, too many.
Over 37 million. So all of the companies have to find a way to continue to improve their product mix. Labor, skill, technology, techniques, management, locations. And COVID just caused businesses, in my opinion, businesses to be creative.
Yeah, in many cases, or businesses that were already going out of business to go ahead and do that, basically.
Well, think of artificial intelligence is causing robotics and artificial intelligence are causing a lot of jobs in certain industries to disappear.
Right.
Now, let's just take it closer to home. Hopefully, people will understand this. You go into your typical grocery store, your fast food, or your typical fast food joint. You go in a grocery store, and there used to be 15 or 20 cashiers ringing out your stuff. Now you're lucky if a live person is on the register because most of the registers are self-checkout. So a lot of people lost jobs because of automation. Go to fast food, you might go to the drive-up window, but if you go inside, there's a kiosk. So a lot of people are getting retrained, and that's one of the things that the federal government was trying to do, was to create a program where people could become retrained, better trained, more versatile in their opportunities and their skill set. And Leland, COVID made that happen because now people could become better qualified, better educated remotely.
Well, and honestly, that should have been the case for a very long time.
One would think, but there's always a cause and an effect.
Always.
And something else that affects the job, the workforce and the workplace. The U.S. started to modify its immigration policies and standards and visas and all that other stuff. And there's been a lot of discussion about who can and can't, who should and shouldn't come. And companies that use migratory labor were constantly, again, getting Congress to make rules, changes, modifications that were friendly to migrant seasonal migrant workers. And unfortunately, if you were of a certain hue, you stood a better chance of getting into the U.S. with a visa than another hue.
Right.
Okay. Now, what's the right answer for immigration? I don't know. But I just know that it impacts people. There are certain people who will not do certain jobs. I don't care what you pay them. But that job still needs to be done. It brings to mind when I was a youngster, there was a man who owned a chicken farm, and it was Memorial Day weekend, and he was going around trying to find some workers. I was young; I was probably about 12 or 13, and he was looking for people to come to clean the chicken coops, and I didn't go. And my dad came home and said, "Well, son, why didn't you go with Mr. So and so?" And I said, Dad, and he was going to pay 25 cents an hour. That was a lot of money back then because I didn't have any. 25 cents was a lot. And I said to him, Daddy, I said, I'm not going to clean chicken stuff for 25 cents an hour. If he wants me to work for him, then he can hire me. I will gather eggs and I will clean the coops. But I'm not going to be hired just to clean the coops. And my dad laughed. He said, son, I pity you. And I said, I understand. He said, I hope like heck you get a good education. He said, because I can see now you're not going to work with your hands. and that's all. We will do what we have to do to take care of our family.
That's right. What we must.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. And so work matters, but I think we all want to have an honest day's work. We want to have some respect, some dignity in whatever it is that we do. We want to earn an honest day's work, or honest pay for an honest day's work. And all the guys who are making the rules about minimum wage, yeah. I hope like hell that something happens and they have to work for minimum wage. Take away their resources and just give them minimum wage, and they got to stay in the hood.
Ooh, that could be a death sentence for some people.
I know.
I want to say this real quick as we go to the last part of our segment. real quick. Hank, you mentioned ebbs and flows, and you mentioned cycles.
I tried to. I got emotional.
This is an example of an ebb and flow. This here is an example of a cycle. Right now, we have people who are now being lured back into the stock market. And again, we have to ask ourselves, when is enough enough? When is enough enough? Because, and let me say this: if you give me $1 in pennies, and during that process, now take me out of it. You give Bob $1 in pennies. In that process, Bob loses 50 pennies. The next week, Bob gains back 1 penny. Has Bob now made a gain or a loss?
He's still down 49 cents.
Well, if you're the stock market and that happened, you're up.
I know. It's sort of sleight of hands.
Okay. Again, hey, yeah, I have Bitcoin. I have some cryptos and all that stuff. So, but still, if Bitcoin was up at $80 a coin, Bitcoin drops to $32 a coin, and Bitcoin goes up to 40 a coin. Is Bitcoin up or down?
I'm not answering.
and the headlines will say, "Hey, Bitcoin's up. It's up 10%, or it's up 5%, 3%, whatever." So that's the state of things. So So
I know, but I bought Bitcoin at 30. No, I didn't. I'm just saying, hypothetically, I bought Bitcoin at 38,000.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, and I think Bitcoin is different than a normal stock because you're getting a coin, but my coin was just devalued. It has reduced value because Bitcoin used to be $60,000 a coin. Now it's about 38.
Yeah.
So if you bought at 60, okay.
Yep.
You bought at 60. It went down to 37, and now it's at 42. Did you gain or lose?
Hey, it depends on how the media wants to spin it.
That's absolutely correct. But as an individual investor, I'm going like, dang, man, how many times can this happen? Plus, who is the puppet master?
Mm-hmm.
Or who are the puppet masters? Because it's not just one, Leland. Even though we got the stock exchange, there are individuals, not necessarily individual companies, but there are individuals who have phenomenal power to influence the market. Okay.
Well, here's what I want to impart as we conclude. When it comes to the financial markets that are monitored in the United States, 90% of those markets are post data. Okay. Mm-hmm. Again, the stock market, and you can verify this on your own. Type in any company that you like that's publicly traded. And then I just want you to beside your Google search, put financials. You'll go to their website, and what you're going to see is that they don't submit their financials to the SEC until 90 days after. So therefore, what we're trading on the market is actual hype, not actual sales that are happening that day. That's not what's happening. We're trading on actual hype, okay? COVID numbers the numbers that we're looking at are still going to be days behind.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to be able to give you the numbers at the exact same moment. If someone right now sneezed on someone else and they unfortunately went home and took a COVID test, that number will not be contributed to the overall number for people who are quote unquote infected. Okay, or under the weather. That person would still at that point have to call in or visit a physician to then be verified and then added to a list. So the amount of people that they're telling you that have the virus or that are impacted by the virus that's not even a true number, because someone could, for example, live home alone. They could have COVID and chose to never get a test.
Yeah.
Or or they still chose to go to the grocery store. They said, "Hey, there's no harm in not knowing. I don't think I have it. I think it's just the flu." All right. Therefore, it's not counted. Home sales are reported, and they're reported again a month later. So none of these things are true, accurate numbers, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, there's a lag. Yes, you're absolutely correct.
There's a lag. So we want to be mindful in knowing, because knowing is half the battle. We want to be mindful in knowing that, hey, there is a lag. Now, what you do with the information is up to you.
Leland, that was masterful, because I hadn't considered. Because sometimes we know things intuitively or instinctively. We know stuff, but until someone says it, it doesn't really register. I mean, it doesn't really register. So with the information that people are gaining today, there are sources, there are places to go. Call your local bank and see what the rates are. Okay? And find out if you qualify. They will do a qualification based on XYZ. And as I said yesterday or before, I may have said it today. First house I bought, the interest rate was 13.25%. 13. Okay. Now, the interest rates are a lot more, but the house cost $130,000. That same house today will be closer to 300 plus, because it was a large 2,700 square foot, four bedrooms, 2-car garage, full basement, all that other stuff. Okay. But everything is relative.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you don't have to buy the biggest, buy what you can afford. And if you don't have the resources right now, but your goal is to own a home, and you know that the job that you currently have won't allow you to get there, and you have a limited amount of time to gain a new skill, you may not need a new skill, you just need a new plan. And that's one of the things, Leland, that we do is we help people get from where they are to where they want to be without a lot of time, without a lot of money. And the way for them to figure that out and find that out and see whether or not they apply or they are eligible is for them to contact us or contact some other people that, that they've either know or have come to listen to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, ladies and gentlemen, we want to remind you all that throughout this year, as a way to empower you, as a way to help you along your journey, that we are having live events on Thursdays and also on Wednesdays. So it's kind of scattered, as a category. Mm-hmm. And it's at 7 p.m. You are more than welcome to join and register via Zoom. The link will be in the description. It's a free event. Come ask as many questions as you have. Network like-minded individuals, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
But and before we go, Leland, remind them what Marcus and I are doing. Probably at least every week, maybe twice a week, we'll be putting together basically a talk for 10, 15 minutes on traditional investments and alternative investments. And we're trying to give you some information so that you can choose wisely.
Absolutely. Because Hank and Marcus both understand that for many people, the reason that most aren't using alternative investments is because many don't know what they are.
That's it. Leland, I think we knocked it out the park today.
That's right.
Now, some people will take that to mean we hit a home run. I've come to realize that as long as you can get it out the park, it is a home run. It could be a foul tip. It could be a foul ball. As you know, someone you can throw it over the fence. It doesn't matter. If you get it over the fence, then that's progress. Appreciate you today, my friend.
Thank you, sir. We'll see you guys